Alrighty, in this video we're going to talk about ways to practice your anchor tongue, otherwise known as the K-tongue modified. If you want a little bit more information on this style of tonguing, there's an article linked below at blackwellstrumpetbasics.com. So if you just want a little more info, if you're super interested in anchor tonguing, K-tongue modified, or if you have some questions at the end of this video, go check out that article. There's also a range builder there to build your high notes. Without further ado, how to practice your anchor tongue / K-tongue modified. In this video, you're going to learn how to anchor tongue. Yeah. So here we go. Some ways to practice the anchor tongue, otherwise known as the K-tongue modified. All right, here we go. As you know from the article, the anchor tongue is this. The front of the tongue, that part right there, down here, behind the bottom teeth. This part of the tongue is where you're going to articulate on the roof of the mouth. Like that. What you're doing is not necessarily going up into the roof of the mouth or thinking about articulating against the roof of the mouth, but rather kind of pulling the tongue away. So, with that, here we go. We're going to start by practicing what I have heard called the stop position, or actually read that it was called the stop position. I didn't make this up, but this is something I read on the internet. So the stop position is starting with the tongue pressed up against the roof of the mouth and then releasing it down to let the air pass through. So there's going to be kind of a buildup of air pressure behind the tongue. I don't want you guys to think that this is like the right way to play a trumpet or something, because a lot of people are really not into that idea. But just as a way to experiment with getting the feel of the anchor tongue is what we're going to do. So we have the mouthpiece up here, set on the chops, and I'm going to press the tongue of I'm going to press my tongue against the roof of my mouth. And then I'm going to da da. Okay, so that is what's called the stop position, or what I've heard referred to as the stop position. Starting with the tongue already up there and pulling it down like that. That's a pretty good representation of the sound I think I'm probably making in my mouth when I do that, to let the air pass through. Now, when I'm starting to do that, I'm going to mention this because we mentioned it in the article. My tongue is actually pressed against my lower lip when I start that in the stop position like that. But as I play, the tongue somehow finds its way down here below the bottom teeth. So, I'm not saying that's right or wrong. I'm just saying that's what I'm feeling in my mouth when I do this. Your mouth is probably different than my mouth. I hope your mouth is different than my mouth, because this mouth has caused me a lot of problems. So anyways, just experiment with that. Set the tongue against the roof of the mouth and then pull it away like so. All right, try a couple of those. Set your horn down. Relax a little bit. That's a skill of chill. All right, so once you've got the tongue working for you in that way, remember, this doesn't have to be pretty. This can be pretty gnarly and stuff, because we're just experimenting. We're not going to hurt ourselves as long as we're staying in a comfortable range. I'm just going to do it right on the C. If you're like a total beginner and even that C feels a little bit high, do it on the G below that. Okay? Now, once you've got that going pretty good, then you can start to do these exercises where you tongue notes from the stop position, and then you try to make the note loud. I'm playing pretty loud, you can tell. But then you try to make the note also super short as possible. And the way that you're going to do that is by, you're up here, duh, you release the tongue, and then you quickly close the airstream back off like that. That's called a tongue cutoff, using the tongue to stop the air. All right, so that's a super hard, super short, pretty loud note there. But the idea is to get the tongue cutoff going to make the note really short. This is an exercise I stole from James Morrison. And I actually talk about it in a different video that I've got posted on YouTube. I will include a link right below this one to that if you want to check that out. It goes a little bit more in depth on that particular exercise. But that's another great way to start to train the articulation aspect, the tonguing with this part against the roof of the mouth, the articulation aspect of the anchor tongue of the K-tongue modified. So give that a whirl. Keep it a nice, easy thing. Maybe just try like a scale, 5-note scale like I just did there. Don't worry about going fast. Go slow. In fact, make each note like a quarter note. And the aim is to get the note as short as possible, not to get the quarter note speed quicker. Make sense? Cool. Now this will really tire your tongue out because basically what you're doing is you're releasing it and then slamming it back up there. It's kind of like doubling up the amount of movement that your tongue has to do. So your tongue gets real fast, and that will tire your tongue out, and that will make your tongue stronger. And it will also get you accustomed to the articulation aspect of the anchor tongue. So now let's talk about the tongue arch aspect of the anchor tongue. Now to learn the tongue arch aspect of the anchor tongue, or as we said, the E, like if you're saying tea, I'm going to drink some tea, which I'm going to drink some tea here in a moment, then the back sides of the tongue are curved up like that, and they're making kind of a channel. They're touching the back molars, and it creates a channel inside of your mouth. E. So try that. Just say E. E. So we're saying E, and we're noticing that the back sides of the tongue are touching the back molars. Now that tongue arch is just going to help us, right? Channel the air, compress the air coming up from the lungs, get it to, it's like a luge in the mouth. It's all good. So how do we learn that? Well, the way that I learned it was in high school, I just did a lip trill routine. Didn't even really get all that good at it. Didn't get to where I could do it really fast or anything. I just did it. And then that helped me get the back of the tongue up there because that's basically just how that's going to work for most people. Before we go on to the next thing you can experiment with, I'm also going to post an opt-in below this video, and you'll receive the same exact range routine that I used in high school to expand my range to a high A. A above high C, high A. Not only will you get the exercises, but also a couple little tidbits, ways to work those into your routine if you so desire. So that is one way to learn the tongue arch. Another way that I found that's helpful in learning the tongue arch is to actually K-tongue. Ka, 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 ka. So it's kind of like the anchor tongue, remember, or the K-tongue modified, because the articulation is happening in the center of the tongue, left to right, but the K sound is just farther back in the tongue. So like saying car or cat. This cat is in a car. Now I don't do a ton of multiple tonguing, double tonguing, triple tonguing, and I haven't really K-tongued in a good long while, so this could be pretty horrible. But you just approach it in kind of the same way you would as the stop position or just practicing your articulation. So you go back to the scale. And you just practice easy scales like that using the K-tongue. Even just that amount kind of made my tongue a little bit tired. That is how out of shape my K-tongue is. But learning to articulate with the back of the tongue like that is going to help you get the tongue arch happening. You're going to get the feel of it, you're going to get the knack of it, and it's going to help. So that's pretty much the quick and dirty on the anchor tongue, learning how to articulate like that and getting the tongue arch going for you. So specific exercise, any exercise really is going to be great. If you do a lip slur routine, just tongue the notes like that, using the anchor articulation or using the K-tongue articulation before you go through and slur it. If you practice scales, use this style of articulation on your scales. Remember to keep things comfortable. This is not a range exercise. This is not a speed exercise, not a dexterity exercise. This is an articulation exercise and just for getting the feel of using the anchor tongue, which of course is 100% up to you if you want to do that or not. Okay, there you go. There are a couple methods for practicing your anchor tongue / K-tongue modified. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you like this kind of content, give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe here on YouTube. And thanks for checking it out. Thanks for watching. You're great. And I hope you have a great day. Talk to you later.